It was in 1861 along a river similar to this that Caleb Gibbons was handed an injured baby. And the baby's father looked to have been killed in an accident. One of the rocks had come tumbling down the hillside, crashed through the cabin, killed the man, and injured this little infant. And the mother was nowhere to be found. This was a mining camp of Chinese men, and they were miners. Caleb knew he could not leave the child, this infant that needed a mother, needed to be fed, with these Chinese miners, so he decided that he would take the baby back to Carrollton, which was another gold rush mining town along the river, and give the baby to his wife, Ruth Ann, to help, to save. And that is the premise for my latest work of fiction, The Chinese Boy, an Orphan Child Raised in a California Gold Rush Town. So this white couple from Massachusetts suddenly has a Chinese baby. And Ruth Ann had not been overly excited once she got to California, and it was very different from Massachusetts. She'd only been here about a year. Caleb came here in 1849. He was all excited about California. But when this Chinese baby came into her life, and they called the boy Boyton, she had a purpose, she had a reason. And for the next 12 years, they raised the child as their own. And then one day, the sheriff pulls up in a carriage, and next to him is a Chinese woman who claims to be the boy's mother. And since Caleb and Ruth Ann only had temporary custody, they must give the boy up. And this shatters Ruth Ann's world, plunges her into depression. And so she goes out into the wilderness, probably with the intent of not coming back, because what was there to life after her son was taken from her? What is there to live for? And this is just a short passage so that you can get a feel for my writing and what the book is about. And this is Ruth Ann coming back from the wilderness. Ruth Ann wandered into Carrollton looking more like a stray dog than a woman. With cockleburs and weed stickers stuck to her dress, her hair was disheveled. She was tired and felt old. As she neared home, she saw Caleb's horse in the corral. She figured she would go in the house and Caleb would have another excuse for the delay in finding Boyton. Caleb, what was he good for, she thought? Men, they make lots of promises. She decided she would travel to Sacramento to see this mysterious lawyer Caleb had talked about to Boyton. Before she opened the door, Ruth Ann had made up her mind to be stern with Caleb and let him know she wanted action. And she was traveling to Sacramento to get Boyton. Anticipating a confrontation, she opened the door, only to be greeted by Boyton, running up to her and hugging her waist. "Oh, my sweet boy, how did you get home?" exclaimed Ruth Ann. Caleb looked at Ruth Ann and asked, "What trail did you take to get home?" Ruth Ann looked up at Caleb with a smile on her face and tears in her eyes. The wrong trail. Ruth Ann's irritation at Caleb had dissipated. A short time later, she was shocked to hear the sounds of Caleb and Boyton at the wood stove frying up some meat for supper. Caleb never cooked. He never so much as boiled coffee. After Ruth Ann got cleaned up, the trio sat down at the table to eat and hear about how Boyton had found his way back home. The question in Ruth Ann's mind was his stay temporary or permanent? The characters are fictional. Many of the events in the story are rooted in history. There were many wire rope suspension bridges over these rivers that carried wagons and people had to walk across. They were kind of scary, it looked like. There were vestiges and remnants of Native American presence in the area. And it was the Native Americans that would help Ruth Ann nurse the injured baby boy back to health. And of course, there were clocks and watches, mechanical, and we don't really see those today, but they were a part of history. There were other things that go on in the book. The railroad that's coming to town, some of the mining activity, the vineyards, the anti-Chinese mob of white men that tried to drive the Chinese out of the area and left Ruth Ann with a good dose of paranoia that her son may be taken at any time, hurt or injured. And these were all realities back in the 1860s and 1870s. And I don't have a great imagination. I just don't think of this stuff. This all comes from research I've done on other books and projects. The first book, Hidden History Beneath Folsom Lake, Benjamin Norton Bugbee, Sacramento Champaign King, and A.P. Catlin, the Whig who put Sacramento on the map. Both Bugbee and Catlin mined on the river. And I was able to read their letters and see what they experienced out here in California and what it was like. And so I drew upon all of those events and put them into the story. But one of the interesting things about historical fiction is that there is a connection, no matter how far removed we are in the future, modern day, there is a connection of human emotion. Mothers and fathers love their children, whether they're adopted or they're biological. And they are pained when that child leaves them, dies, or is kidnapped. And those emotions, depression, joy, happiness, fear, anger, they are the threads back to the past. And while I cannot recreate history, even though it'll be fun to walk in history, I would like to hope that I can convey some of the emotions that those people felt that we can relate to today. Is this going to be a bestseller or win an award? I doubt it. First work of fiction, it's okay. I like some of the sentences, I like some of the paragraphs, but I write for myself. And if you like reading about California early history, gold rush, the imaginary lines that were laid down by the government that pushed some people aside, Chinese immigration, then this book may be of interest to you. It's not very long, kind of a quick read. It is available on Amazon in Kindle, or you can have a print-on-demand version sent to your residence. I may have it in some of the history bookstores, small bookstores in and around Folsom and Sacramento in the future, but right now Amazon is the primary place to order the book. So if you have any questions or comments about how I came up with this tale of an orphan Chinese boy in a isolated gold rush town in California, you may leave those comments down below, and I will do my best to answer them. Otherwise, for history, out on the trail next to a river, I'm Kevin Knauss.